These are still good chapter titles.
I know. Is that is it My Dying Bride is the name of the band?
It might be that. I always assumed it was maybe a variation on My Darling Clementine.
Oh, it could be. I can't remember.
But I guess that makes Garcia Wyatt Earp, I suppose.
That's certainly a thing that could occur, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's just we
could still talk some positive things about this game, you know? It's not just, just riffing on it for being lazy or bad in parts.
I think you mean dunking.
Yeah, sure.
Riffing would be joking with. We've gone past joking with and into outright antagonization at this point.
Yeah. Okay, I guess that's a fair point.
Well, and immediately we've got an opportunity to use our new toys.
Yep, the sizzling schlong.
It's not much better, I'm gonna say.
Okay, fine. Spicy erection. Yeah, there's no good name to give this thing at all. I tried, I'm sorry.
Are you?
No, I'm not.
Kind of what I figured.
If only just for just your pained sighs.
Yeah, just... really? We're doing this thing again? Fuck. It's still not the worst dick joke we're gonna have in the entire game.
Nope.
Oh, cool. Someone's been playing Monster Hunter.
Yep. Got our first very big enemy right here.
I thought we were done with him.
No, I'm with him in this one.
Yeah, so here we go. Here's our not El Gigante fight.
Just what I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah.
El Gigante, if he spent too much time looking at HR Giger.
Yeah. And decided to adopt a way more obvious weak point instead of just shooting anywhere on him.
Yeah, rather than the big bright flashy light, rather than I'm filled with shrimp.
Yes. But even then, you had to whittle him down before he actually showed the shrimpy weak point.
Yeah, kind of a disappointment, all things considered.
Yeah. But another thing with that fight is that we ended up having to fight it, which I'm gonna say is considered the normal way. There are instances as we go on where you'll find that there is an alternate and more efficient way of actually dealing with that particular enemy.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Although this area totally ripped straight from Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, definitely. This does give a lot of the village kind of vibes to it.
Yeah, like that bit just in the outskirts at the beginning where you're going over the river.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is so Resident Evil 4. It's not even funny. Self-plagiarism almost.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess it's like EA knew.
Yep.
So yeah, there's a good use of that alternate fire in action. It's obviously before the darkness had set back in, setting off that explosion because of the type of the light shot was able to deal with the veil of darkness over multiple enemies at once.
It's a good thing when you're doing any kind of action command, you're functionally invincible.
Yeah, totally. I mean, RE4 would not have worked otherwise. Or 5.
Yeah, and this bit would be physically impossible.
True.
If you're not getting clawed by the minions, then you're getting wasted by the darkness.
Man.
Okay, what the hell hit you there?
Collision. I know, it was pretty bullshit. And I'm trying to get a specific kind of kill prompt on that last enemy, but I think it's not registering because the mask is still on him. See, yeah,
well.
I stopped being fancy. Get some brains.
There's a joke in there somewhere, but I'm not going to want to make it.
We do that a lot.
It's a game with a lot of brains and a lot of balls. Eyeballs.
Balls of both kind.
Explosive, eyeballs. Literally the only two kinds that are.
Yes. I gotta say, it didn't register with me when I was doing the recording for this, but looking back on this now, I am surprised at how quickly the darkness comes back after you use those firecrackers. Like, in my mind, it felt like it took a lot longer for that to actually, like, happen again.
Maybe it's just because you went into technically a new area.
No, I think it's had more just to do. I guess maybe just the mindset I had when I was doing all of like the recordings for these chapters, because like I always like do this shit in bulk before finally setting in on like doing like the recording and editing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these things always seem to take longer or less time, even when you're, in the moment. So.
Yeah.
Looking back in it, I can see why you'd be like, oh, that was kind of weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it definitely kind of... It all kind of ties back to, like, a certain thought that I had when I finished going through this game, like, for the LP purposes, and it was like, it's not better than I remember, but it's also not worse than I remember. And I don't know if that's the actual worst outcome to have.
I mean...
Because it's the difference between, like, it being, like, something different to give you a new perspective, or just having, like, confirmation of it being exactly what you want, and I kind of wanted the former, especially after we had gone through Travis Strikes Again.
Yeah, exactly. You would hope that in the time since you would have some kind of differing perspective of it, rather than, nope, that's pretty much what I expected.
Yeah, totally, because, like, by comparison, like, before TSA came out, like, I've replayed No More Heroes 1 and 2, and, like, 2 I had only played once, and I thought, yeah, that was pretty good, but, like, that was an example of the opposite happening, where I actually did come away with a different perspective, which was, wow, this is actually a lot less unfulfilling than I remembered it being. But I still would have preferred that than it being the exact same than how I felt about the game back in 2010, Yeah,
that is really disappointing. I mean, I played through about 3/4 of it leading up to doing this, and yeah, I was like, it's not really like that one section at the end is still, 10 pounds of failure in a £5 bag.
Oh,
but the rest of it's like, I don't know, I think that compared to some of the other stuff that's come out under Suda's name over the last few years, this definitely feels like a step backwards. Like, it's got all the wackiness and the weirdness that people, for whatever reason have come to expect from him, but it still feels like there's a big something missing from it. Whether you want to say heart or soul or whatever, then it's missing something.
And like in like the Act 3 in general, there's definitely one particular section. Well, I guess maybe more like two segments, but like one that stands out to mind, like in a pure gameplay sense, where I feel that is most evident, and then another that's like in a slight story sense that something was clearly missing from it.
Yeah.
I generally like the environment of like this area we're in. Like it's a it's a pretty good way to follow up on like that old in like the town area that we started in. So yes, this was the alternate means of destroying these big enemies. Just let darkness take over. Because fuck it, that makes sense, I guess.
Are those demons crawling out of his...
And then it turns out it's actually a big old demon mech.
Yeah.
Which is unusual.
Yeah, I mean, Well, actually, if you probably were to do like measurements, it probably comes out to 4 meters, which I still maintain is the actual minimum you need for something to be classified as mecha. I mean, there were multiple that like came crawling out of it, so I imagine there had to have been like some super compressed cockpit of sorts.
Maybe it's like a zombie Voltron, where one's like, and now form the little piggy toe.
But for some reason, I'm actually thinking of something like more hilarious and dumb, like so Conquer's Bad Fur Day.
Okay.
There was a boss fight with a boiler that was like being like piloted like a robot by like 2 like fiery imp goblin things, and it had big brass balls that you had to repeatedly beat the shit out of.
Okay. Never had an N64 or I only used an Xbox really for media center purposes, so I never really got to play it. But,
yeah.
I would like to say I'm surprised, but I'm really not when it comes to that game. You could tell me literally anything about Conker's Bad Fur Day, and I'd be like, nah, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much crazy shit in that that I feel like I'd be straining to come up with something that is legitimately like made up and not in that game.
Yeah.
Like when you have a boss that is like a singing pile of poo, like what the fuck else do you need to say?
Correction. Operatic poo.
Yes, exactly.
You've got to be specific with that one. Like, no, you're selling it short. It does a fucking aria.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know, like, opera terms, so it could be anything, frankly.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? At least its dirty humor is, like, more endearing than this game's.
Yeah, like...
Probably because of, like, the high concentration of Britishness in it.
You see, as someone who's British, like, there's a British TV show which you might have seen called Bottom, which was just about 2 incredibly horrible people being incredibly horrible to each other, usually resulting in someone getting kicked in the testicles repeatedly. And it's basically that for an entire game.
Yeah.
I can highly recommend it. It was originally going to be called Your Bottom, for the simple reason that they wanted people after the following day to say, "Oh, so I saw Your Bottom on TV last night." That's their sole reason for the name.
Yeah. But now that it's just Bottom, like I am immediately thinking of it like in like a sex kink kind of way.
I imagine Rick Mail, because he was one of the 2 leads and one of the main writers.
Yeah.
Can you imagine he would find that incredibly hilarious?
Yeah.
Rick Mail was in Drop Dead Fred for any of our more American viewers. Probably what he's best known for in the States, I think.
Yeah, perhaps.
Can you get the hat trick? Yes! He does it! Well done.
Yeah.
So that's the most exciting thing that's happened in this video.
Yeah, just getting slow-mo headshots as we chase around our girlfriend getting repeatedly dragged into the water. Which, you know, that's like... especially since she's always, like, around in lingerie for reasons, like... That's, like, fairly, like, expected horror imagery, I suppose.
Something important plot reasons, don't argue.
Yeah. So yeah, now we got 2 of these things at once, and since we saw what happens when darkness kills them, probably like the intended design here is to actively bring it about because, you know, fuck trying to fight 2 of these things at once.
I think I did it once, just purely for giggles to see what would happen. It was boring.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's kind of like how, you know, when, like, in RE4, going back to it, because there's always a good reason to go back to RE4, you know, the two El Gigante fights, and how it's pretty much always encouraged them more practical to lure like the first one into like the pool of like molten metal or lava or whatever, you know, so you could just focus on the one,
or just plain run away.
Yeah, that's true. But even then, they're still big and their hitboxes are wide, so it's like you don't want to have those stacking too much.
Yeah, like you can do it, it's just a pain in the ass to do so.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, if you're playing on the GameCube version, the only true way to play it, you kill the second El Gigante, leave the room, especially like if you like decide to kill it by like dropping it into the lava, and then you come back, and then the money that it would have dropped is miraculously still there.
Did they fix that for the PS2 version? Because I remember that fight bugging the hell out of me.
I don't remember if PS2 fixed it. I know, like, HD versions, it's completely gone.
Ah, okay. Do you think the GameCube and the Xbox One are the only versions I haven't played?
Oh yeah, and that was quite a not so good sight of Paula there.
Yeah, although I do like what she's doing with her eyes. They are fantastically creepy.
Yeah. Like the color's there, but you just don't see the pupil. Or like the inner part of it.
Unless it's a cataract, which could happen.
Yeah, at that point, it's like you really need to get that checked.
Yeah.
God, this game's screen tearing is out of fucking control.
Yep. I was playing Asura's Wrath a while back, and just wishing they would give that a remaster, because the screen tearing in that is like constant throughout the entire game.
Jeez.
Never really noticed it in this at the time, but now you've mentioned it, it's all I can see.
Yeah. Thanks, Unreal. Seriously, it's like, it is so weird to think how this was such a dominant engine, like, on, like, a generation of hardware that could not, like, run it at acceptable standards unless you were on PC.
Yeah.
And Microsoft actively, like, changed part of their hardware just to accommodate it. Like, imagine that. Like, that they were originally going to have, I think it was, like, 256, like, megs of, like, RAM or whatever it was, but Epic, like, in order to, like, get them convinced to, like, put out Gears of War on it and basically use that as their, like, quote-unquote launch game for UE3, they doubled the RAM. Which I think also partly, and also I think partly contributes to why PS3 was such a fucked up piece of hardware to work with, because it had that same amount of RAM, but it was divvied up in ways that made it a lot harder to work with. Like X amount being completely dedicated to OS features and shit that the people didn't want to deal with.
Yeah, and when they took them away, everyone complained anyway, so...
Yeah, but that's it. Yeah, not much talking about the game, but I mean, what do you fucking expect?
Yeah, at this point, I think people just come here to watch us talk shit for, like, 20 minutes, and oh yeah, there's a game in the background.
Yeah, followed by however many minutes talking about something way more interesting, such as Kurayami Dance, as we move on to Chapter 6. Hallelujah.
No, it's not that great. Oh, right, okay, it's the title.
Yeah. I mean, it's what I'm saying every time we go on to this part of the video. So yes, following, like, Kaido's adventures, we left the Tanaka Ward, hopefully leaving it in a better place than when we found it, considering, you know, it had some serious issues.
One or two, yeah.
Yeah, but then we got surprised by a buff, beautiful man in a Speedo obstructing traffic and being held at gunpoint by the border police.
Well, we were surprised. He just seemed to take it in his stride. Just like, oh, yeah, great. Half-naked weirdos with long hair who are incredibly good-looking. This again. Yep,
but as we start the chapter, we find Kaido in a bit of predicament as he is now bound and gagged.
Interesting thing that I found here is that we sort of get confirmation here that Chalia seems to be acting independently of Kaido rather than being an outright hallucination.
Yeah, like, and being able to, like, kind of keep track of things, like, in the absence of Kaido being conscious of anything.
Yeah.
Which is what leads to a little anime style previously on Kurayami Dance. With cute little doodles of just summarizing everything that we went through. Went to 300 on his bike, slept for 3 years, got a job, and then he left.
Yeah,
conveniently skipping over the fact that we stopped a massive suicide problem in a population of Tanakas, but oh well, I guess they don't matter in the grand scheme of things.
Also, that last image there, that needs to be Suda 51's next game, Kurayami Kart.
Oh my god, yes!
Just with everyone making that flat face, it would be amazing. Like going 300, standing on top of the winner's podium, just yay.
So yeah, we get back to the part before Kaido had been captured. He actually notices the man that is causing such a ruckus on the road, a man known as G.
There's a House of the Dead joke in here somewhere, but again, I'm not going to be the one to make it.
Yeah, me
Agent
neither.
G.
It's too easy.
Yeah.
I'd sooner make a Goldman joke anywhere. Because Goldman's lines are always gold.
Time they made that move.
Do not disturb the life cycle, or however the fuck he sounds. It's like he's having a stroke midway through.
The first game, he just sounded incredibly bored all the time, but also like he was having problems with sinusitis. Just, yes,
Jeez.
I am Goldman.
Yeah.
Tremble. It's all very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So yeah, Kaido recognizes G recognizes Kaido, beats the shit out of the guards, and then knocks out Kaido and takes him away somewhere.
No idea where they got the flashback from. Probably best we just gloss over that as much as possible.
Oh yeah. And it turns out the reason why Kaido and G are familiar with each other is because G used to work at the same funeral service company that Kaido is currently employed in. He too is an undertaker.
It seems like he's gone a bit more native than anyone, though.
Yeah, especially as him and the boss had quite a falling out at some point over what I am presuming, based on the death, might be like a funeral for a massive amount of people, like in some sort of like tragedy. Which
that many deaths does sound kind of suspicious.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, I imagine like if it's a funeral for like 1 or 2 people at most that are like being like buried, like the services for, it's like I can imagine that being like manageable. It's still heavy, but like if you're getting and like having to do like a service for victims of like a tragedy, like a shooting or something, I feel like you'd be immediately dealing with like a lot more heavy shit and not wanting to like go the route of like feeling super numb to the fact that it's a lot of people, because there's, you know, the quote like one person's death is a tragedy, a million is a statistic,
and just having them on a conveyor belt would be tasteless apparently.
Yeah, so that's why G ended up leaving. He did not want to keep doing this, especially with like the jobs being like handed his way being just too much for him to take on a personal level. So that's his backstory. And Kaido eventually wakes up in a very, very concerning position with G being extremely close.
Yeah, I mean, I could understand maybe like tying his arms up if he was carrying him so they don't flop all over the place, but did he really need the duct tape?
Yeah, it's just... Yeah, it sends a lot of different messages.
Getting mixed signals here.
Yeah, but I mean, for what it's worth, though, outside of the initial shock, Kaido is glad to see G anyway. So, you know, no hard feelings, I suppose.
Again, kind of get the impression this isn't the first time he's found himself like this.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, his relationship with G strikes me as a bit eccentric.
Very, very much so. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, getting caught up on what he's been up to. He's just been living off the land in the kingdom. Really, the only explanation he gives is that he was suddenly called to the castle, but in true pseudo fashion, like that extremely important detail just doesn't get elaborated on. At least not for reasons that would otherwise spoil what's to come.
Yeah.
But what's more interesting is that as Kaido decides to, take a break and sleep for the night, something very peculiar happens that rustles him awake.
And it's not Chalia popping out of G's crotch.
Yeah, I guess it would look like that from that angle. Fuck, now that's ruined.
From there it's like, someone was very, very pleased with this character design.
Yeah, but no, what woke him up was a dance party. Just a big old rave in the middle of the forest. A Sabbath, if you will, if you want to go the Devilman route.
Exactly what I was thinking, yeah.
Yeah, especially when you see what happens by the end of this, I was like, clearly Amon or whoever the fuck is getting summoned here, and one unlucky bastard is going to be his vessel for the rest of his life.
Although I gotta say, a pretty sweet DJ setup. I've got a friend that DJs semi-professionally, and he would love something like that.
Yeah, it's like, it's actual stuff to work with and not simply pretending to, do DJ shit when all it is just a laptop that's playing automatically.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like a legit kind of setup.
Yep.
So yeah, and also Chalia had the idea to get there before him and is totally getting down with everyone. Everyone's raving on. You know exactly which fucking song I'm gonna be adding into this in post. Just need to get some gifs of from Chip Cheesum's LB where he makes all the Smiths dance up and down the stairs. Some are better than others, but it's always fun to do that. Anyway, back to the dance in particular. The
thing is, the song's like 20 minutes long, so it can easily cover this entire thing with time to spare.
Yeah, maybe. Mm-hmm. So yeah, here we are at G's own Hallelujah Hacienda, as he calls it, but it's got another name as everyone counts down from 10 to 1. The lights go out. It is the Kurayami Dance. Yep, we hit the title drop.
With a resounding clang!
So yeah, this is where things get extra trippy and definitely brings to mind the whole Devilman Sabbath moment where just the losing of oneself, in this case being completely enclosed in the darkness and just continuing to dance.
And Chalia looks like he's coming out of some kind of oil or slime here.
Yep, to reveal that he is a shadow. But I mean, I guess to an extent, if he's an hallucination that's semi-tied to Kaido, I guess it would be not that surprising that he would pull the I am you kind of shit on him.
I am thou, thou art I.
Yes. However, when the darkness finally lifts, everyone's dead.
Lots of sleepy people. They're all tuckered out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just don't mind the red.
You've got red on you.
So yeah, that was a very fucked up sequence that has no real solid explanation or context until we kind of get a bit further in looking back on it, because G greets us in it's a naked apron.
Yeah, when I first saw that I was like, has he also the only clothes he owns are a maid outfit? Oh no, wait, it's just an apron. So all he owns is a Speedo and an apron. This man has his priorities.
Yeah, he is. He is all for the homoeroticism, and I will, I'll be totally okay with that.
You say homoeroticism, I say incredibly manly.
That too. He wears it proud. That's the best. That's the best way to put it.
He has no need for the thoughts of you lesser men.
Yes.
He is a lion amongst sheep.
So yeah, get some kimchi fried noodles for breakfast. I guess that's an interesting way to, to start the day. Kaido asks for a bit of clarification. Hey, what the fuck was that dance? And so, this ultimately is like proving that, unlike Shadows of the Damned and even what Suda's original game idea for Kurayami was, this definitely cements how, the whole darkness theme is a lot more of an introspective and less literal kind of subject. Because as the Kurayami Dance is described, it is meant to basically reflect what is in a person's heart in a kind of generic, kind of cliched sounding way.
Literally what you are in the dark.
Yes. And this obviously shakes Kaido when he realizes it more, considering that what he was greeted to after being in the dark was just everyone being fucking dead. And as an Undertaker, when death is an important thing he's always dealing with as part of his job, might have that on his mind in a way that's maybe not as healthy as it should.
Yeah, I remember when I was reading American Gods years ago, there's a bit where the main character goes to stay with a couple of Undertakers who are secretly Egyptian gods, and one of them says, when you're talking to people in the community, you always ask how their job is going. They always find it a bit weird when you ask how their health is, just in case you're sizing them up.
Oh my god. So yeah, that was a little bit of what the Kurayami Dance is. We're not really gonna see another sequence like that. Kaido kind of doesn't want to go that deep again, but it is something that's still gonna stick in the back of the mind, as this journey continues. Because he's still got his job, and G's is still polite enough to let him keep doing it. Obviously, despite the you would think with him being so kind of wild, I guess, and detached from everything else in life compared to Kaido, I'm surprised he doesn't try and convince him to stop with this whole Undertaker business, considering the reasons why he left. Yeah,
but then again, I think he has the impression that there wouldn't be much point in trying to stop him anyway. Just with the fact that he's okay, well, at least have breakfast first.
Totally. So yeah, and following that, getting back on the road, a lot of goofy shit involving Chalia comes up, as they find an actual map of the kingdom in a big sort of billboard type setup, and
you
it just
are
starts
here.
Yep, and just wondering, man, I wonder what kind of adventures we'll have. Fantasy, mecha, Yakuza crime dramas.
Randomly running into the plot of fucking Hellsing.
Yes.
You can't tell me that's not the Battle of London in there.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, interesting thing to note is that G name drops the Union Hotel, which is a thing that constantly shows up in Suda's games.
Yeah, or at least hotels in general are definitely a thing that shows up, and yeah, they call it the Union Hotel, but for reasons that'll become clear when we get there, I will be hard pressed not to call it by another name because it is more accurate in that sense. But we'll get there when we get there, in the next video or two, because right now Kaido's still on the road, and a whole lot of people are taking a very close eye on where he's going. We
Hazel and Cha-Cha right there.
Yeah, we got ourselves, like a cat and horse girl on motorbikes, checking how everything's going. G finally adorning something resembling like a professional like dress code is in a car and again communicating with someone, and just a whole lot of scheming going around because everyone clearly has something in this job that is more than just sending some random undertaker to do a funeral at a castle.
The problem with this, though, is that they start using terms like demon and, the space between life and death. And your first time reading, you genuinely don't know how much is hyperbole and how much is like, no, there are literal demons and, transgression of borders between life and death in this.
Oh, yeah. I could definitely say that second item is more applicable than the first, but we still got more things lined up that'll show just how flimsy life and death really is overall in this world.
Oh yeah.
And then cut to the third party of the old lady and the gothic Lolita with a lisp that we only saw back in chapter 3. Yeah. And she decides to do a hit on us, I suppose, as a servant. Fires a tranq dart right into Kaido's neck at just the opportune moment that his car goes off a cliff. But
literally hanging by a twig.
Yep. So things are dire, and that's quite a way to end what is the first of 2 volumes of Kurayami Dance. Admittedly, I would not say we are not halfway through the story, as it were, but I guess they ended the volume here just because it makes for an appropriate cliffhanger of sorts.
Literally and metaphorically.
Yeah, this is... From here on out, things do get a lot wilder with a whole lot more characters than what we've experienced at this point.
Can't say it'll make much more sense, though.
Well... I try to make enough sense of it. Hopefully, by the end, I can at least explain a good theory or two.
Yeah, on an emotional sense, maybe, but in a explaining what exactly happened sense, no.
Yeah, good luck. But before we end this video, Kurayami Dance decides to throw towards our way an omake. Umihara's Night Out.
The boss.
Yep. With him basically going to get what might possibly sound like the most unappetizing parfait ever conceived.
It's cabbage. Cabbage is lettuce's shitty cousin.
Yeah,
unless it's sauerkraut, in which case it's fucking amazing.
Yeah, well, I'm fine with sauerkraut if it's part of a Reuben.
Yeah, if it's on the side of something or in a bagel, excellent stuff.
Yeah, put it in a sandwich with pastrami and that's not dressing but yeah, it's definitely better than this fucking shit. Which for whatever reason the boss seems to be perfectly fine with and goes into just a fucking foodie hard-on in describing.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently it was legendary. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe this is another thing like that deli premonition, chicken jam and whatever the fuck sandwich that was in there.
The center sandwich, yes.
Yeah, the center sandwich.
Jam and cornflakes, I think.
Yeah, cornflakes was part of it. Yeah, it was a cereal. It was cereal, jam and I think it was chicken.
Yeah, I remember a few people tried it afterwards and half of them were like, this is actually pretty good, and the other half were like, do you even have taste buds?
Yeah, it's it's for that reason, that split, that I'm I'm still not gonna try it.
No.
Yeah, not for me.
Then again, that is a game which has purple ham and chicken in it, so...
Yeah, it's yeah, you don't eat that.
No.
You see that color on it, you just throw that in the fucking trash. But yeah, that little distraction's over. We'll get back to Kaido in the next video and meet some very, very fascinating individuals.
Oh yes, been a couple of familiar friends if you know your pseudo work.
Yeah, a very, very familiar son of a bitch.
Oh boy, howdy.